Yo, peace and love. It's your boy Slang Illz here, introducing the Poly People podcast. I wanted to create this podcast because I wanted to be able to have a safe space for pro-poly and poly-curious people. For majority of my dating life, I've done monogamous relationships, and after this last 4 years that I went through in a monogamous relationship, I will probably never enter into another monogamous union ever again. They've done nothing but fail, and I tell people that I'm lifestyle. What I mean by that is that I'm down to have a little fun. I'm down to party. My preferences is multiple women, so whether it be 2-3 women at the same time. It's kind of how I like to party, but I've never explored a poly community union, if you would. I've dated multiple women at the same time, and they all know that I'm dealing with each other. Honesty and transparency is key when it comes to dating multiple people. So I've dated multiple women at the same time, and they've been around each other, but it wasn't really like we were doing life or anything with one another. And from my experience with the poly couples and poly unions that people that I do know about, I see these unions thriving. Yeah, they have their own fair share of problems, like every relationship would. But what I've come to find out is that with poly situations, there's a bigger focus on the legacy, there's a bigger focus on the lineage, there's a bigger focus on, actually building an operational and functional household with, the children, with the adults. And I think this is like this because when you're in a monogamous relationship, the concept is that, men are just supposed to make their women happy, or make their woman happy. And that's what the relationship focus becomes around generally, is trying to keep this particular person happy. And what happens is in these monogamous unions, when one person feels that they're entitled to the focus and the relationship being solely on them, as far as their happiness and their wants and their needs, there's no focus on the actual foundation that's being built for the family. So the man ends up working jobs that he hates to provide for a woman that doesn't appreciate him. In conjunction to poly unions, it seems that, you got your situations where there's going to be competition and jealousy amongst, the co-wives, but the successful ones that I've seen, the co-wives are just as in love with each other as they are with the man that they're building with. And some women believe that polyamory is about, the man having enough money to pay to have 2 women living in the house, 2 to 3 women living in the house, so you can have sex with multiple women. And for some men, that might be, what their poly experience and adventure is, but ultimately, when you look at what polyamory is and what it was supposed to be, it's a baseline foundation to create strong lineage and legacy. One woman can only have one child within a 9-month period, and she needs time to heal up, and having to do that again and again and again. You can only produce so many offspring in that model. So by having a poly union where you have multiple wives that have multiple children, and those children end up having multiple children, you end up creating a strong lineage, a strong bloodline, and within that lineage and bloodline, your offspring can go off to do amazing things, which will ultimately create your legacy. And I guess that's what I want to explore for myself in a poly union. I'm not looking for any more women who just solely want the attention to be on them, and they have no sense of purpose, and they really don't want to bring any tangible, measurable value to the union that we have going on. it's difficult to find singular individual women or woman that wants to, we also, what do you bring to the table? And these chicks be like, I am the table. And what I tell them is that, all right, if you are the table, how much can you hold up? Because a good table is going to be able to hold up a lot of shit before it breaks. You know, so you can't just say you're the table because it sounds good and you don't have no answer on what you actually bring that's measurable and tangible. You know, your presence as a woman is not the measurable tangibility yet for men who don't have the presence of pretty women. Your presence might be something that's amazing for those guys, but for desirable men, the men that other women in the world want, presence is not enough for that man to sacrifice goals, sacrifice his dreams, to sacrifice pursuing the things that he wants to pursue, sacrifice being a bachelor to coexist with an entitled, unappreciative woman who feels like she just deserves everything that this man comes with. She feels like she deserves this man's his labor. Like, bitch, who are you to say that a man's supposed to get up and go to work to take care of you? That's crazy. So when it comes to the poly podcast people, we're gonna be bringing in, poly couples, poly supporters. I might even bring in some opponents that's, not with the poly lifestyle, to open up deeper conversations about polygamy versus monogamy. But I want to keep y'all tuned in. If y'all got any topics y'all want me to touch on, any subjects you want me to touch on when it comes to the poly life, definitely put it in the comments. We're gonna keep this content rocking and rolling. We had the YD Entertainment Podcast Creators Collective one of their sets right now, so make sure y'all stay tuned, stay locked in. It's your boy Illz. Peace.